It began with a statement few expected to hear and even fewer believed at first. Behind palace walls, a quiet confirmation from Queen Camilla sent immediate shockwaves through royal circles. The words were measured, but their meaning was explosive. Suddenly, questions that had lingered for months were impossible to ignore. Why now? And what did Camilla know that the public didn't? Before we go deeper into what this really means for the royal family, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single update. For months, the palace had tried to keep the mood calm, almost controlled, as if the future of the crown was moving exactly as planned. But reports suggest that beneath the polished statements and carefully timed appearances, there was a growing unease that could no longer be hidden. Queen Camilla's remarks did not sound like casual royal confidence. They sounded like confirmation. Not loud, not reckless, but sharp enough to cut through every rumor that had been circling around King Charles, Prince William, and the silent machinery of succession. Royal observers quickly noticed the unusual wording. Camilla did not simply praise William as a future king. She appeared to speak as though that future was closer than the public had been led to believe. And in royal life, wording is never accidental. Every phrase is weighed. Every pause is measured. Every soft sentence can carry the force of a sealed decree. Insiders began whispering that the atmosphere behind closed doors had changed forever. To understand why Queen Camilla's sudden revelation has sent the ultimate shockwave through global media, you have to trace the fractured, tense history that led to this breaking point. The seeds of this dramatic shift were planted long before today's headlines. For decades, the line of succession was treated as a distant certainty, an unwavering path that would unfold over many years, with King Charles reigning for as long as lifetime duty permitted. But behind the velvet curtains of the palace, friction had been quietly brewing. When King Charles finally ascended the throne after waiting over 7 decades in the shadow of Queen Elizabeth II, it was supposed to be the culmination of his life's work. He envisioned a modernized, streamlined monarchy, a tight-knit firm controlled by his long-held principles. Yet, almost from the very moment the crown touched his head, his reign was hit by relentless, unprecedented crises. The emotional toll of high-profile family fallouts, explosive public tell-alls, and intense international scrutiny put the crown under severe strain. Then came the turning point that changed everything behind closed doors, the monarch's severe health battles. While official communications from Buckingham Palace insisted that His Majesty was managing his medical treatments with remarkable resilience and continuing his constitutional duties, the reality within the royal household was far more complex. High-stakes pressures were mounting daily. Behind palace doors, senior aides were reportedly forced to confront a reality they had hoped to avoid for years. The physical toll of the crown was escalating far faster than anyone was willing to publicly admit. During this period of intense vulnerability, Queen Camilla emerged as a core figure of authority within the firm. Having navigated decades of hostility, public skepticism, and bitter media battles to secure her place beside Charles, Camilla held an unprecedented, powerful vantage point inside the royal inner circle. She saw the exhaustion. She witnessed the private toll the crown took on a king who had waited a lifetime to rule, only to find himself pushed to his physical limits. Camilla was not just a supportive spouse, she became the ultimate gatekeeper of the king's daily reality, a woman who knew precisely how fragile the status quo really was. Simultaneously, a quiet rivalry had been forming between the old guard of the palace and the rising empire of the Prince and Princess of Wales. Prince William and Catherine had built an overwhelming wave of public support. Representing modern stability, discipline, and emotional strength, they had become the true faces of the monarchy's future. Yet, for months, reports hinted at a subtle power struggle between the current sovereign and his heir. King Charles was fiercely protective of his reign, determined not to be viewed as a temporary placeholder monarch. He wanted to leave an undeniable mark on history. But the relentless pace of state affairs, combined with urgent medical warnings from the royal physician team, forced a painful reality check. Insiders reveal that subtle protocol shifts were already being made to quietly elevate William's authority long before Camilla's statement slipped out. The Prince of Wales was given unprecedented access to high-level state briefings, private red box documents, and confidential government updates, privileges rarely handed over so aggressively while a ruling monarch is active. To the trained observer, the writing was already on the wall. The palace was desperately trying to balance two opposing priorities, preserving King Charles's dignity as sovereign, while urgently building a safety net under Prince William in case of a sudden institutional collapse. This delicate balancing act could only last so long before the tension reached a boiling point. The old hierarchy was crumbling under the weight of health scares, media speculation, and the sheer demand for a younger, firmer hand at the helm. The public was told to expect a long, steady reign, but senior courtiers were already operating under an unwritten code of emergency protocols. The atmosphere within the palace had turned cold, secretive, and charged with anxiety. Every move made by William was tracked, every statement released by Camilla was scrutinized for hidden motives. This deep history of quiet battles, hidden medical strain, and escalating power plays made the eventual explosion inevitable. The stage had been carefully set for a total breakdown of palace silence. It was never a matter of if the truth about the line of succession would leak, it was only a matter of when, and who would finally break the ultimate royal silence. The breaking point arrived during what was supposed to be a tightly scripted, private evening gathering at Balmoral Estate, a location historically famous for holding the darkest and most guarded royal secrets. Senior royal courtiers, high-level political liaisons, and key members of the inner household were assembled under strict confidentiality protocols. What transpired was never meant to leave that room. According to explosive leaks from high-level palace insiders, the confrontation erupted during a closed-door meeting regarding royal scheduling and state duties. King Charles, fiercely determined to project absolute strength despite his grueling schedule, was pushing forward with plans for a demanding, multi-country international tour. But Queen Camilla, having witnessed his agonizing exhaustion and deteriorating physical stamina away from the public eye, finally snapped. In a moment of intense emotional raw truth, she did not just urge the king to slow down, she looked directly at senior advisors and uttered the sentence that would send panic through the entire palace: "We are pretending to hold a line that has already moved, William is ready, and we need to stop hiding it." The room froze in dead silence. The atmosphere instantly turned hostile. King Charles was reportedly blindsided, viewing the remark as an unthinkable breach of sovereign authority and personal loyalty. A fierce, whispered argument broke out behind those locked doors. The tension was palpable, a reigning monarch fighting to retain control of his life's work, pitted against a queen consort desperately trying to save him from physical collapse, while courtiers panicked over the massive constitutional implications of her words. Within hours, despite emergency non-disclosure agreements and frantic attempts by palace communications teams to suppress the incident, word began to leak through encrypted channels to top royal commentators. An anonymous staffer, reportedly shaken by the emotional severity of the clash, leaked a series of frantic text exchanges to prominent media figures. The leaked messages painted a terrifying picture of chaos. Camilla broke protocol. She said the words out loud: "Succession planning is no longer theoretical, they are preparing William now." Social media erupted into a frenzy within minutes of the initial leak. Speculation spread like wildfire, with hashtags trending worldwide as fans and critics debated whether King Charles was being quietly pressured off the throne. The palace's initial response only made things 10 times worse. Rather than issuing an immediate, aggressive denial, their usual strategy for false rumors, Buckingham Palace released a strangely vague, delayed statement mentioning ongoing strategic reviews of royal workloads. To seasoned political analysts and royal watchers, that non-denial was practically a blood-red flag. It signaled that the leak was true, and the palace was in a state of absolute, unadulterated panic. Then came the first shocking twist that turned this dramatic feud into a full-blown constitutional crisis. Just as the media attempted to frame the situation as a loving wife merely protecting her husband's health, a second, far darker leak surfaced. Confidential calendar directives and draft royal decrees, allegedly leaked from within the Duchy of Cornwall's private network, revealed that secret high-level meetings between Prince William's legal team and top government officials had been taking place for weeks prior to Camilla's outburst. Prince William wasn't just being prepared to step up in an emergency, his team had already begun drafting the exact framework for a Regency Act transition, a legal mechanism that would hand full executive power of the crown over to William while Charles remained king in name only. This meant Camilla's accidental revelation wasn't a sudden lapse in judgment at all. It was the explosive climax of a silent, high-stakes war that had been raging behind the scenes between the king's loyalists and the prince's rising faction. The public wasn't just watching a routine health update unfold, they were witnessing the early, chaotic stages of enforced royal handover, and the palace was entirely powerless to hide the cracks any longer. The exposure of those secret Regency draft files sent shockwaves beyond the gates of Buckingham Palace, triggering an unprecedented institutional crisis that quickly engulfed Parliament, global newsrooms, and millions of households worldwide. What had begun as a whispered exchange in a private room at Balmoral was now an uncontainable international firestorm. Mainstream networks preempted regular broadcasting, rolling out urgent live panels featuring seasoned constitutional scholars, former palace press secretaries, and political analysts who openly debated a question once considered entirely taboo: was the British crown on the verge of an emergency abdication? On social media platforms, the narrative tore completely open. A series of fake Twitter threads and viral video breakdowns claimed to show time-stamped digital trails proving the Prince of Wales's communications team had been holding off-the-record briefings with prominent media editors for over a month. Hashtags like #RoyalTransition, #KingWilliam, and #PalacePowerStruggle dominated the global trending lists, generating tens of millions of impressions within a matter of hours. The public was fiercely divided. One side fiercely condemned what they saw as a cold, calculated palace coup orchestrated by ambitious aides around the Prince of Wales, accusing them of undermining a reigning king while he navigated severe health struggles. The opposing side countered with equal intensity, arguing that Prince William was taking necessary, heroic steps to save a crumbling institution from an overburdened monarch who refused to accept his physical limitations. The diplomatic backlash was immediate and severe. Heads of state across the Commonwealth began reaching out through diplomatic channels, seeking urgent clarification on the stability of the sovereign leadership. Downing Street was forced into an uncomfortable position, with the Prime Minister's office issuing a tense, carefully worded statement insisting that constitutional protocol remained intact, while notably refusing to answer direct questions about whether secret talks regarding the Regency Act had taken place. As public anxiety reached an all-time high, the scandal escalated into an absolute crisis with the dropping of a second, far more shocking revelation that completely reshaped the narrative. Investigative journalists from a major global news outlet managed to obtain encrypted audio memos and high-level internal email transcripts allegedly originating from within Queen Camilla's private office. The leaked material painted a terrifying picture that challenged everything the public thought they knew about the drama. Camilla's outburst at Balmoral wasn't a reckless slip of the tongue, nor was it a selfless act of a worried wife trying to protect her husband's failing health. The audio files revealed that Queen Camilla had discovered a secret, highly classified strategy document drafted by a splinter faction of senior courtiers working directly under the king's authority. This covert document, codenamed inside palace walls as Operation Golden Seal, outlined a drastic plan to permanently restructure the line of royal authority, stripping Prince William of key financial controls over the Duchy of Cornwall and reallocating unprecedented administrative powers to Queen Camilla herself in the event of King Charles's incapacitation. The leaked audio captured a high-ranking staffer explaining the terrifying reality in a panicked voice. Camilla wasn't trying to push William forward to ruin Charles. She exposed William's timeline because she realized the king's inner circle was trying to sideline William entirely. She used the public shockwave to blow up their secret operation before they could lock William out. This meant the true conflict was far worse than a simple succession dispute. The palace was split into two warring, highly covert factions, one secretly backing a massive concentration of power around Queen Camilla and the king's old guard, and another aggressively pushing Prince William to claim his inheritance before his authority was legally neutralized. Queen Camilla's seemingly accidental confirmation was actually a desperate, calculated move in a ruthless game of royal chess, designed to force the public to take William's side before the king's advisors could seal the palace doors forever. With this horrifying truth laid bare, the illusion of unity within the House of Windsor completely shattered. The nation wasn't just standing at the edge of a new reign, it was watching two desperate factions tear the monarchy apart from the inside, leaving the public to wonder who was truly pulling the strings of power. The exposure of Operation Golden Seal lit a fuse that tore straight through the global media landscape, turning a delicate palace crisis into an explosive, all-out cultural war. Across every major television network, streaming platform, and digital outlet, the story dominated headlines uninterrupted. Special broadcasts ran around the clock, with veteran commentators and historians openly admitting that the British monarchy had not faced an internal crisis of this magnitude since the abdication of 1936. On social media, the reaction was nothing short of total pandemonium. Within hours of the leaked audio memos going live, digital platforms exploded with unprecedented engagement. The public fractured into two fiercely warring camps, giving rise to intense digital movement. On one side, millions rallied under the banner of #Team William and Kate, filling comment sections and message boards with impassioned defenses of the Prince and Princess of Wales. Supporters argued that William was the rightful, steady future of the crown, framing him as a dutiful heir who was being targeted by an out-of-touch, power-hungry old guard. Viral video edits comparing William's quiet discipline to historical moments of royal duty garnered tens of millions of views, with users demanding that King Charles immediately step aside to let the younger generation rebuild public trust. Conversely, the counter-movement #Protect the King gained massive traction among royal traditionalists and older demographics. Critics fiercely condemned Queen Camilla and Prince William's advisors, accusing them of executing a cold, heartless palace coup against a sick and aging monarch. King Charles waited over 70 years to serve his country, wrote one prominent commentator in a post that racked up hundreds of thousands of reshares. To push him toward the door while he fights for his health isn't just a betrayal of the sovereign, it is a betrayal of basic human decency. The drama quickly spilled beyond internet forums and into the highest halls of political and cultural power. High-profile celebrities, media personalities, and political figures felt compelled to take sides. During live broadcasts, major late-night hosts and political satirists dismantled the palace's polished facade, poking fun at the ruthless internal power dynamics while acknowledging the terrifying reality of the constitutional deadlock. International media outlets took an even harsher stance. European, American, and Commonwealth news agencies ran scathing editorial pieces questioning whether the institution of the monarchy itself could survive such transparent, cutthroat infighting. Several Commonwealth nations saw immediate surges in Republican movements, with local political leaders pointing to the chaos in London as definitive proof that their countries should cut formal ties with the British Crown once and for all. Inside royal media circles, the fallout was catastrophic. Palace press officers were reportedly working around the clock in a state of absolute exhaustion, attempting to issue damage control releases that were instantly torn apart by sharp-eyed journalists. Every official statement was met with deep skepticism. When Buckingham Palace released a brief video clip of King Charles holding a routine audience with a visiting ambassador, internet sleuths immediately began analyzing every frame, scrutinizing the king's posture, his hand movements, and even the lighting in the room, claiming the video was pre-recorded or strategically edited to mask his growing isolation within his own household. Meanwhile, rumors began circulating that high-level meetings were taking place among major media executives and book publishers. Bidding wars allegedly erupted for exclusive tell-all interviews with former palace staff who claimed to have witnessed the fiery arguments between Camilla, Charles, and William firsthand. Insiders reported that publishing houses were offering multi-million-dollar advances for any insider willing to break confidentiality and confirm the true extent of Operation Golden Seal. The atmosphere reached a fever pitch as public opinion polls revealed a shocking stat. Over 60% of respondents believed that King Charles's authority had been permanently compromised by the leaks, with a clear majority favoring an immediate, formal transition of power to Prince William. Yet, despite the staggering public pressure, the palace gates remained stubbornly shut, leaving the world suspended in an agonizing state of suspense. The public was no longer just watching a royal story unfold, they were witnessing a desperate struggle for the very soul of the monarchy, where every headline, every leaked memo, and every public reaction was pushing the institution closer to an unprecedented breaking point. Just when the world believed the battle lines were clearly drawn between King Charles's old guard and Prince William's rising empire, a final, catastrophic revelation surfaced, one that shattered every assumption and exposed a game far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Late last night, an untraceable digital document breached high-level media networks. It was not a leaked memo from a courtier or a frantic text exchange between staffers. It was an encrypted, highly confidential royal charter, bearing the personal sign-off of King Charles himself, dated just 3 weeks prior to Queen Camilla's explosive declaration at Balmoral. The contents of this document delivered a breathtaking twist that flipped the entire narrative on its head. Operation Golden Seal was never a rogue plot by the king's advisors to isolate Prince William, nor was Camilla's outburst an act of desperation to protect her stepson. The leaked charter revealed that the entire sequence of events, the subtle schedule shifts, the strategic leaks, the calculated public tension, and even Camilla's accidental confirmation, was part of a master plan orchestrated by King Charles himself. Knowing his health was declining faster than the public was told, and aware that traditional royal transitions often trigger intense public instability and political rebellion, Charles had quietly initiated a psychological priming strategy. Codename Operation Monarch's Dawn, the objective was not to cling to power, but to deliberately manufacture a controlled crisis. By making it appear as though the monarchy was under threat and that William's ascension was urgently required to restore stability, King Charles successfully shifted public sentiment from skepticism about a young king to an overwhelming, global demand for William to take the throne immediately. Every argument behind closed doors, every delayed palace statement, and every tactical leak had been designed to force the public, the Commonwealth, and Parliament into begging for Prince William's immediate coronation before official health announcements were made. King Charles had willingly sacrificed his own public standing and reign's narrative to ensure his son would step onto the throne not as a premature replacement, but as a triumphant savior. But just as the genius of this master stroke began to settle across newsrooms, the ultimate cliffhanger struck. Sources deep within the Prince of Wales's private residence at Adelaide Cottage revealed that Prince William was completely blindsided by his father's secret maneuver. When William discovered that the narrative surrounding his future had been manipulated through a fake palace war, a raw, furious confrontation occurred between father and son via an emergency encrypted video link. Insiders report that William, deeply angered by the deception and refusing to take the crown under the shadow of a manufactured crisis, delivered a chilling ultimatum to the king. He refused to sign the final accession protocols until the absolute truth about the operation was made public, a move that would destroy the palace's credibility forever. As midnight approached in London, emergency lights were seen burning late into the night across Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle, and Kensington Palace. High-level constitutional attorneys and the Prime Minister were summoned to emergency face-to-face sessions. The crown is no longer just facing a transition, it is suspended in a terrifying deadlock. Will King Charles be forced to publicly admit to manipulating the global media, or will Prince William walk away from an accelerated coronation entirely, leaving the British throne completely vacant in a matter of days? The truth is threatening to break open, and what happens in the next 24 hours will change the House of Windsor forever. The throne hangs in the balance, and the House of Windsor is on the verge of an absolute breakdown. Was King Charles's secret strategy a genius sacrifice to save the monarchy, or did he go too far by manipulating the entire world? Should Prince William accept the crown as a savior, or is he right to stand his ground against the palace's web of secrets? We want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments below right now. Is it time for King Charles to officially step down, or should William refuse to take the throne under these conditions? Let's get the debate started. If you found this breaking update shocking, make sure to smash that like button right now. Most importantly, hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications so you do not miss our next emergency upload. We are tracking this story second by second, and as soon as the palace breaks its silence or the Prince of Wales makes his official statement, you will be the very first to know. Thank you for watching, stay tuned, and we will see you in the next explosive breakdown.